Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for this very fun and special edition of Coffee and Conversation. You are joining me in my home, and Pastor Jeff, are you in your office?
Yes, I'm in the office.
Awesome. Well, that is what is so fun about online ministries is that we can continue our coffee and conversation from wherever we are. I happen to have a sick kiddo at home. She's been sick for a week, but I still get to participate in coffee and conversation. So it's really awesome. Yay for online ministries.
Yay. Yes, for sure.
Yes.
And for the technology, and we get to do this. So maybe Go ahead.
All right. Well, we're going to get started. Today's coffee and conversation is going to be focused on Advent. So one of the questions that I got was that we begin Christmas Christmas is December 25th, right? But Advent starts before that. Why is Advent important in the Christmas season?
Well, Advent is really, it prepares us for Christmas and the Christmas season. And some of this is kind of really technical. So Advent is the 4 Sundays, the 4 weeks before Christmas. So it just starts at different times. You know, sometimes it's the Sunday for us here in the United States, the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Depending on when Thanksgiving falls, it might not be till that next Sunday. So next year, in fact, 2023, Advent won't begin until it won't begin the first Sunday after Thanksgiving. It will be the next Sunday, just because Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday in 2023. So, and we have 4 Sundays to prepare us. Advent is that time to prepare us for the coming of Christ, to where we remember and prepare ourselves to receive that gift again. Sorry about the phone.
It's okay. Mine might go off too.
Receive the gift of Christ coming, the incarnation, where God became human, that happened in Bethlehem, 2022 years ago. But we also Advent to prepare us for the coming of Christ again. When Christ returns, we don't know the time. And so, and that's why many of the readings from the prophets, not just speaking about the coming of Jesus the first time, the Messiah, but also what it means for us when we look for the coming of Christ. And it's why we have, kind of that dark message of John the Baptist sometime. And, but, to look and prepare ourselves. Are we really living as Christ calls us to live, with hope and joy and peace and love in that way? And then I like to also think of a third coming. To be prepared and at least aware of the way that Christ comes to us in our daily lives, present. So we have the one, that was past in the manger, the great incarnation of Christ coming. We have the one in the future when Christ will come again. And then, Christ in the present, the way, because of the incarnation, how Christ still comes to us today. So it's to be focused on, how can we receive these, really not just prepared, but to really receive and embrace these comings of Christ.
I like that you mentioned it's not just to prepare, but like to receive. Like, how do we receive that? So what are some things that we can do during Advent to be ready to receive Christ?
Well, I think for one, I think it'd be great because if we could just maybe change our pace a little bit to more of a nice rhythm. But this time of year can get pretty hectic, maybe a little chaotic.
Yes.
But to maybe perhaps to change the pace, to take the time to have those reflection time. So one, change the pace, take the time to do some thoughtful reflection in sometime during the day. Do a devotion, a little scripture reading, read a story. There's all kinds of devotional guides out there. Also, in doing the Advent candle and thinking about what that means for the week. So the wreath, the Advent wreath that we do has the 4 candles for the 4 Sundays, and then the Christ candle also, which is usually in the center, that fifth candle. But to take the time to reflect on the theme and the focus of each of the weeks of Advent. Which I
So
think was another question,
it
but we
is
we can wait.
actually.
But I mean, we can do that now, or we can wait and come back to that. So
No, we can totally dive into it. So that was one of the questions is, and I was kind of looking it up a little bit too. And when I was like in the past, when I was teaching kids about that, I would help them make their own Advent wreaths and stuff.
oh,
But the Advent wreath is very symbolic. It's not just thrown together like here's some candles. Like everything has a purpose and a meaning. So let's talk about that a little bit. One of the things I wanted to ask about was what does the wreath symbolize? What I found was that wreath, that circle, is really important because it symbolizes like eternity.
yes,
Okay, did I
yes,
have that
never
right?
ending. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yes. And part of the reason we have Christmas wreaths, but we use it as an Advent wreath. So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So then the wreath is very important, but then there are four candles.
Yeah,
Um,
and the wreath, like Christmas wreath, made out of evergreen, something
yes.
that doesn't die, that symbol as well of
Okay. Okay. I
everlasting,
didn't
of
know that.
everlasting.
Okay. Um, so it's important that the wreath made out of the evergreen. And then we have the four candles, but one of them is a different color. So what do the colors represent? Because three of them are purple and one is pink. And then of course you have the Christ candle, which is white. We know, well, I know what that represents. The Christ candle, that purity of Christ. Um,
Mhm.
but what about the other candles?
Yeah, well, let's go back to the Christ candle. You are actually right
Okay,
about the purity, and I
okay,
think I got this right. You teach children, so you should know this, and if not, Google it real quick.
okay,
Um, that my understanding is, we think of black as like just this combination of all the colors, and that's what makes it black. You mix all the colors together, it become black. But actually, the combination of all colors is actually white.
that's correct. I actually took several art classes in college.
Yeah.
I almost have a minor in it. So yes, white is a combination of all the colors, and black is an absence of color.
Yes, and so think about that with the Christ candle being white. It is that Christ embodies everything.
I like
That in
that. Yeah.
Christ is the embodiment of everything, the embodiment of heaven and earth together,
Okay.
coming in Christ.
Oh, okay. I love that. That's awesome. I never
So,
put that together, so I'm learning something new. Thank you for that.
yeah, well, I'm glad to know that that I had the part about the white correct.
Yes, yes, good job.
So do you do the Bob Ross painting? Just
I know a little bit about art history. I know a little bit about like color and color scheme, but my artwork looks like a 5-year-old. So actually my
yeah,
4-year-old provides much better artwork than I can.
yeah, okay. Well, kind of got off subject there, but uh, so Advent can be purple
Okay.
or blue.
Okay.
Also blue. We most traditionally it was really purple, the same color as Lent, color of royalty, but also the purple. So there's usually 3 purple candles and 1 pink candle.
Right. And the pink candle is the candle for joy. Is that correct?
Yes, traditionally,
Okay.
yes. Now,
Okay.
some people vary that and they like to use the pink candle for peace just because they like the alliteration to remember it. But yes, the pink candle for joy. So we
Okay.
do the first Sunday traditionally, and then it gets varied and the themes get varied. People can be creative with them. There's no, it's not like one of the 10 Commandments. So it's hope. We always start with hope.
Okay.
And actually, the first Sunday of Advent, let's remember that's the first Sunday of the Christian year when we do
Right.
the Christian calendar. So it all starts with hope.
Okay.
It starts with hope. Then we have peace, and then I believe it should be joy,
Yes.
joy for the third, and that's when we do the pink. And then love is always the fourth Sunday of Advent.
Okay.
And sometimes joy and peace get flipped. It's okay, but sometimes people do creative things like light and life and the way. Uh,
Okay.
do other things. Some people use uh, the titles of the Messiah out of Isaiah. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Prince of Peace. Everlasting for Advent. But traditionally, it's the hope, peace, joy, and love.
Okay. And then we talked about purple being like royalty, but what about the pink? Is it just pink just because it's different and they want to emphasize that? Is there a
I
meaning
wish I
behind
knew.
it?
I wish I
Okay.
knew.
I tried to find out and I couldn't find much about it. So if
Um,
anybody knows the significance behind the pink candle, please comment so that we can find
yes,
out
yes,
too.
that would be great. Um, and pink, the combination of red and white coming together to make pink. I don't know if that's significant
Okay.
there. So I'm not sure. I really couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has more meaning than the store when they first did this only had three purple candles and they had to have another one. I'm sure it's
Sometimes you
deeper
gotta
than
get
that.
creative.
Yeah, I'm sure it's deeper than that, but I'm sorry, I couldn't find it. I couldn't.
Couldn't
I
either.
know somebody knows.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Advent ends on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day?
Yes.
Which one?
Uh-huh.
Yep, okay.
Well, so uh,
Traditionally Christmas Eve, right? Because we light the Christ
yeah,
candle at the Christmas Eve
traditionally,
service.
traditionally it would end on Christmas Eve. Now, technically, midnight Christmas Eve,
Okay,
which is why a lot of churches do the midnight service
okay,
and light the Christ candle because it's Christmas Day.
okay.
But so we can celebrate the birth of Christ on Christmas Eve with Christmas Eve services. We do go ahead and light the Christ candle. Now we won't this year.
Right, because Christmas is on Sunday. So
Yes,
we will
so we are
have our
going to
Christmas service.
yes, we are going to wait and light the Christ candle on Christmas Day.
Okay, fine.
And so the songs on Christmas Eve um, will proclaim the birth, but really we're there on the journey to Bethlehem. We're there, but there'll be kind of the more reverent, somber, maybe not quite the right word, but more like the "O Little Town of Bethlehem." It came upon a midnight clear, kind of the more um, slower tempo, contemplative would be a good word.
Okay,
Uh, Carols that night, and then on Christmas Day we'll do the "Hark the Herald and
joyful.
Joy to the World." Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So it's
very
kind of neat we
fun.
get to do that this year.
Yeah, it's so unique. I don't think since I've been employed at the church, I don't think we've had a Christmas service like Christmas Day service. So I'm really excited for this one. It'll be my first one. So
Yeah,
I'm really
I
looking
think the
forward to
last time it happened was 2011.
it. Okay, yeah, which is like right before I started working at the
Yeah,
church.
yeah.
So yeah.
And the church I was at then, we ran out of bulletins on Christmas Day because we just didn't
Oh
think we were going
wow.
to get that many, and we ran out of bulletins. It was
That's
wonderful. That was a wonderful
amazing.
thing. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
We sometimes
so
we underestimate the excitement of people being come to church to celebrate the birth of Christ.
yes, I hope we have a similar problem this year. That would be
I hope so
fantastic.
too.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Pastor Jeff, thank you so much for joining me in this unique coffee and conversation. Good news is Anna is feeling a lot better and she is
Oh,
cleared to
good.
go back to normal routine starting tomorrow, which means that I am going to be good to go for our in-person, like live coffee and conversation on Sunday. So everyone join us Sunday around 12:30ish for our live coffee and conversation. You can post your questions right then and there on Facebook. We'll answer them. We're going to have some of our congregants with us asking questions also. We're super excited for it. So we're excited to see you there. And then don't forget, of course, there's Sunday service this Sunday, and then we have our Christmas Eve services and our Christmas morning service.
Yeah. And are we going to repost next Thursday? We'll like repost the live one just so people have it, right?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely. We
marvelous.
will repost that on Thursday. So that will be kind of our coffee and conversation for that Thursday also.
Yeah, great, great.
Perfect.
Wonderful. So yeah, everybody, any questions you have, love it. I hope that you're having a good Advent season as you are preparing for Christmas. And I know there's a lot of Christmas celebrations happening because we have the, um, our social groups, our gatherings, our work groups. We all get together for our Christmas parties. We have the school Christmas programs. So I know that, it's really hard. You can't be an Advent Puritist. It's, that Christmas gets mixed in within, but that's okay because it is all about the coming of Christ.
Absolutely.
So God
All
bless you all.
right. Thank y'all so much. Bye, y'all.